Alrighty, so good afternoon. This is the presentation of our new academic track in intermediate Spanish, the multiple level entry program for students of Spanish that will complement our traditional program centered in direct enrollment. As you know, the flagship of Middlebury has always been this direct enrollment program that takes students with 5 semesters of language to real regular classes at regular universities in language all over the world, together with the language pledge as the most efficient tool for the practice of the language and the acquisition of the local language. Then, within that context, and without abandoning our traditional approach, Middlebury, the school in Argentina and Uruguay that I represent, will launch in spring of 2022 this new academic track, this new program for students that have not gotten yet to the 5 semesters of Spanish language and who could take a semester abroad in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to complete their 3rd or 4th semester of Spanish in class. So this conversation is certainly, I am live. I am recording this for Middlebury. We're going to plug this in our links and the Middlebury page, the page of the school in Argentina. In the latest presentations, similar to this one about our academic tracks, I have put on recorded interviews with the faculty that works with us in Argentina or in Uruguay, in Buenos Aires, and Montevideo. However, in this case, we're going to have a direct exchange, a live exchange with the person that I will introduce in a few minutes that is going to be in charge of this operation for Middlebury. So this is going to be a live session in which people who attend, and there might be people dropping by during the session, will be able to chat with us after this brief presentation. I think we're going to be done in about 15 minutes. Again, the goal of this brief, practical, direct presentation is to be able to create recruiting instruments so that our partners and the students of our partners abroad can learn about this amazing opportunity. First of all, let me introduce the person that is going to be working with me today. This is Professor Liria Evangelista. And Dr. Liria Evangelista is a professor, has been a professor in our program for more than 10 years. She is in charge of the mandatory writing course for linguistic and cultural competence, the mandatory piece with which Middlebury complements the direct enrollment course in our semesters abroad. At the same time, Liria also is the director of the graduate program of Middlebury, the School of Spanish in Buenos Aires, that goes in the month of July and early August. So she's a Middlebury person. She has been here for a while. And in this case, certainly since one of her backgrounds is language acquisition, she is going to be the main asset of our school in order to help guide our students in this academic track. So first of all, let me welcome Liria, and with this informal introduction, Liria, I ask you for a brief introduction of yourself. Who are you?
Oh, okay, who am I? I've been working with the Middlebury School abroad in Buenos Aires for around 17 years, actually. Yeah, much more, because I've been directing the graduate program in Buenos Aires for 10 years now. So time flies. So I'm in charge of the course that is about writing for linguistic and cultural competence in the many forms that it has taken during the years. And actually, I'm in charge of assess and evaluate the way in which, through the course, but also through very profound and intense interactions, the way in which our students go through the process of language acquisition during their semester or the year in Buenos Aires. So I'm very familiar with the process. And that class, it may say, is the only class Middlebury students take within the Middlebury space, because otherwise they have direct enrollment. I know that this new project changes that. It's a new experience, and I think this will be an amazing experience in terms of acquisition. So that's what I do, and that's what I think about this.
All righty, thank you very much. Yeah, two things before we go to the specific presentation of the PowerPoint and a few reflections upon this initiative. Number one, I know that Middlebury College has started with this new approach of intermediate level speakers of Italian in Italy. So we're not the first ones. We're the first school of Middlebury to do this in Spanish in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And the second one is that certainly, I repeat, Liria is the qualified Middlebury person in Buenos Aires in the School of Argentina and Uruguay to work with the students in this area. I also want to say that I want to acknowledge the immense, generous, strategic support that our counterpart in Universidad Católica Argentina, UCA, the director of international programs at UCA, Dr. Veronica Munoz, has given to us. As I am going to explain briefly, a very important part of this course, of this semester, for this type of students is going to happen within UCA activity, associated to UCA activities. And for that planning and for that projection, again, I want to acknowledge, I want to thank my dear Dr. Veronica Munoz, who has not been able to join us today, but I know that certainly she continues with her support and will continue that in the future. Well, no more wording, and let's go to work. Let me show to you all this brief PowerPoint presentation. So let me show you this. So very briefly, it's about 5 or 6 pictures. This multiple level entry program is going to happen in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Certainly much of the course, much of the advantage of this initiative has to do with making able for students who are not yet at the direct enrollment level to exploit the amazing resources that this city offers for culture immersion, which is the strategic goal of all Middlebury programs. So the city of Buenos Aires, its culture, its people, its activities, its vibrant social life is going to be immersed in not only in the content of the academic courses, language and academic courses that students will take, but also in the extension activities that will come with the program. Very specifically, this intermediate track is designed for students who, again, are not there yet for the direct enrollment, which takes 5 semesters of college level Spanish. So students have completed 1.5 or 2 years, 3 or 4 semesters, or equivalent in different systems, I mean, across the United States. They could come to Buenos Aires, and during the semester of spring or fall, they can complete their 4th or 5th semester of college level Spanish. This will happen in a language course through the L program of UCA. Again, in this case, students are going to work within UCA. UCA and Middlebury have been working together in the design of the syllabi and extension activities. So this is going to be a joint product, but this will happen at the facilities, at the splendid facilities of UCA, by the way, in the new neighborhood, newly refurbished neighborhood of Puerto Madero in Buenos Aires. We're going to be working with 2 levels of students. So each of those levels is going to create a specific course. The course is going to be specifically for these Middlebury students. And again, as I said, they will work alongside syllabi and activities programmed by Middlebury together with the UCA L program. So students will take 1 language class while in Buenos Aires. In addition to that language class, students will be able to take 2 content courses, 2 content academic courses, again, at UCA, not at the regular UCA courses, but at the Programa de Estudios Latinoamericanos, the PEL, which is a program for, again, students with intermediate level of Spanish language. So students will take 1 language course and 2 or 3 content courses. And we have created the possibility that students might choose to take 1 of those courses in English if they were not ready for this class in Spanish. Again, we are speaking about students who come here with 3 semesters of Spanish. So this is a choice, this gives flexibility. Our goal is that students are able to find themselves in their most comfortable possible situation in order to be able to go in full with the learning process. These are a brief sample of the content courses that students will be able to choose at UCA. Learning from service, contemporary Argentinian art, arts, architecture and identity in Latin America, sports and culture, football, soccer in Argentina, what else? Register Buenos Aires, culture and photography, Latin American history, introduction to Spanish linguistics, literature and cultures in Latin America, Argentina today, Argentina Peronist Argentina, microeconomics, journalism and literature, and social processes in South America. This is a sample of courses. In many cases, there are electives, so there might be more courses available for these content courses that students will take while in Buenos Aires. And finally, students will take the writing course that all Middlebury students take in Argentina and Uruguay. As I said before, remember, in our direct enrollment courses, in our direct enrollment program, students take courses at the university, but all at different universities in Montevideo, in Buenos Aires, but all of them need to take this writing course with us, with Lyria, by the way. In this case, we will keep a writing course for the students. However, it will be a separate one because this is going to be at an intermediate level of Spanish. And by the way, I just want to say here that the content of the course will be on tango and identity. Again, a strategy to have students, to make students stronger to exploit the resources of the city. Just one more thing that I want to say. Like in our regular program, students may opt to replace one of their content courses with a 4-credit internship. In this case, the internship is going to be tailored for students with an intermediate level of Spanish. Again, perhaps it's not going to, no, perhaps it's certainly these positions are not going to have the same level of challenge that students that come to our regular program, but this is going to be real situations. Students are going to be immersed in real life situations, real life institutions that are close to their field of interest. Again, technically, of course, students will also participate, as I said before, in the Middlebury language pledge, because we believe this is the most efficient tool, the most efficient instrument, the most efficient strategy to come close to the local culture. In all, students will earn the full credit load, that is 4.5 units of Middlebury credit, which typically is equivalent to 16 semester hour credits in the United States. So again, I said this one more time, typically these students will take one language course at UCA, 2 or 3 content courses at UCA. They might take one of those courses in English if they wish. They might also decide to substitute one of those courses with an internship. And in addition to those content courses and the language course, they will take the writing course, the mandatory writing course with Professor Lilia Evangelista, who is together with us. You can find all this information at our links in our social pages or at the school webpage. So I want to profit, of course, of the most valuable resource that we have in the conversation here, which is Lyria. Lyria, I don't know if you would like to go through the PowerPoint or just lead the conversation by yourself. My point is, why we have already explained why this is new. I said briefly why I believe it's valuable. What could you add?
I can add that despite students may come with less level of Spanish than required for direct enrollment, anyway, they must come because they will find here that is something absolutely irreplaceable, which is immersion. On the one hand, Middlebury has the very strong commitment to the honor pledge, which through the years has proved an essential key for success in terms of language acquisition. But immersion is something that nothing can replace. No matter how many hours of Spanish or how many levels you take at your university campus, you will never have the same experience, the strong interactions, even the obstacles that immersion poses. Because, I mean, immersion has to do with a little bit more of studying a language. It is experience, and experience is at the very core of human subjectivity. I always tell my students about my own experience with English. I've been to a British school when I was little, but actually nothing, absolutely nothing replaced the very complex moments of my experience when I lived in the United States, because acquiring a language is a very complex process, and it has to do with what I call emotional undercurrents. You are learning despite you may believe you are not, okay? Because a language is not only its grammar. It would be so easy if that were the case. So I think that for students, the experience of living through the sounds, the smell, even the physical disposition that means a language, that means culture, will be a tremendous asset.
I follow you, I hear you, I am learning when you say this. I mean, from my point, I mean, I'm not a language instructor, but as a professor in the program, I've always seen how in many cases, perhaps in most cases, I'm not specific here, sorry about that, but I've seen how in general students, when they are able to relax and to develop their resources in the semester, they discover that they know much more than they know consciously, that their instruments, their tools for the navigation of the Spanish and local Spanish culture are much more numerous than what they imagine. What I am certain about is that we need to create a situation in which they feel comfortable and confident. I believe that confidence is the foundational stone for this process of cultural immersion. Right? And as people know, we put a lot of attention and importance and confidence in the families that host our students. We know that the social network into which students are immersed through their families, through their neighbors, through their families, relatives, is an amazing and endless web that constantly creates this interactive context that Miria is describing. And in addition, certainly students are going to walk the streets, and they're going to mingle with local students at the university, and they're going to go to the internships, where again they're going to be in contact with local people. So I believe that all that context is going to add to this.
And if you excuse me, Claudio, something else. All of what I said before and you have just said, I mean, it's like that. But I want to add that we are very good at Middlebury here, providing the space, the safe space and thoughtful and kind space where all those experiences could be articulated. I mean, within, and that happens in very much within the space of the writing course, for example. But I mean, one of the things that really interests me is to offer individual support to every student in order to deal with the hardships, because there might be some, and the surprises of language acquisition, which is at the same time, as I told you, emotional acquisition and cultural acquisition. You cannot separate that. And I think that through the years, as the professor of the course, I have been learning a lot too. about how to listen to the students, how to let them express their difficulties, how to, in some way, guide them through acceptance, patience, and joy in order to become not only better speakers of Spanish, but people who really can enjoy to the full extent the life experience, which means to come and stay within a different culture for a certain period of time. That is a life-changing experience, and we have to understand that, okay?
Well, I think that we are all, both of us are going in the same direction, trying to explain how these students of intermediate level of Spanish are going to find a fertile environment for growing in their acquisition of the language and in their immersion in the local culture. I just want to add that certainly it is a possibility that once students study here for a semester, they might decide to stay on. Again, for students who come to Buenos Aires to take their 5th semester of Spanish, certainly I believe they might be tempted with staying on for the following semester, in which they are going to be able to take direct enrollment courses, right? So they already know, they will already have known the city, perhaps they will have friends, they will have their favorite corners in the city or their favorite activities. So we believe that this might be a good springboard for students to decide to do that too. One situation that we also contemplated is and again, I open this as a commentary to you. This is my last observation, is that we're going, for the first time in Buenos Aires, we're going to have students of 2 separate levels of the language. And I want to make clear that the school still expects that all our students at any level will respect the language pledge. On our part, as we said, students are going to be they're going to be taking separate classes of the writing course, so that they will not sit at the same course. Certainly, we don't expect students to avoid each other, and we believe that inevitably they will meet each other and they will try to learn from each other's experiences. However, again, within the language pledge at their own pace. On the side of Middlebury, we plan to have a common extension activities. We develop regular monthly extension activities to help students get to know better certain cultural resources of the city that perhaps they have not discovered yet. So we plan to put both groups together there. And again, as a learning experience, right? And of course, they will share the semester excursion that we do sometime in the 5th or 6th week of the semester. So I believe that's going to be a challenge for again, the language pledge is certainly a creative challenge for our regular students. It's going to be perhaps a stronger challenge for this new cohort. What do you think, Miria? How can you?
Well, I think the first challenge is to take a plane to fly more than 11 hours and land in a city that you don't know, with all the expectations you have, that of course some might prove very different from the original expectations. That is the first challenge. So and in that case, every student must rest reassured that we do know the challenges they face. I mean, and this is extremely important because we are very open to their needs, to their fears, to their expectations. And we are ready, because we already know how to do that, to guide them and offer them all of our support, in the understanding that honoring the pledge is at the core of learning. And of course, they will share with the other students the extension activities, the cultural trip that students take during each semester. And I want to add this: I'm very happy with this program that will be launched in Católica, and I'm really regret that Dr. Veronica Munoz can't be here today. She's a wonderful colleague, and I need to add that she has worked as language professors at the Middlebury Spanish Language School during the summer for several years. And she is a very appreciated and dear professor in the graduate program, Spanish graduate program. So, and why do I say this and share this? Because we have with us, providing the structure of this new program, someone who absolutely knows what Middlebury means and what Middlebury students need. So I think that is also an asset for us. The kind of, the sort of professionals that work within the Middlebury space. So I'm very happy about that. And I want to tell the students that it's a life-changing experience and it's worth living through it. And it's not an easy experience. No, it's not. It's not only easy, it's not only fun, because what is life-changing as starting to live in another language is much more complex, but much more profound and deep than anything else. So we are here waiting for them, and I hope we're going to see them next semester.
Okay, thank you, Liria. I also welcome, this is a late welcome, sorry, Alessandra Caposella, the Assistant Director of our program in Middlebury, has been with us through the conversation, so I say hello to her. So, Alessandra, please, certainly you're welcome to complement anything that we have forgotten or omitted in our presentation.
I think, well, you both covered it so well, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to welcome students who are interested in accelerating their Spanish studies, in a really vibrant, exciting city, and with professors who have a lot of experience helping students in this way. And I think, as you've both said, the language pledge is one of the best ways to gain that fluency. And it is a big challenge, but it's absolutely worth it. So I'm really looking forward to having students in the intermediate back.
So thank you, Alessandra. Again, thank you, Liria. As a closing commentary, I just want to say, we have been working with Alessandra and with my colleague directors in different schools abroad, and with the people in international programs in Middlebury for several years. We have worked on the idea, on the nature and dynamics of the language pledge. And I want to take profit of this opportunity to state how deeply we, the Middlebury people, believe in that as, again, the most efficient instrument to approach and get to not only a local, a foreign language, but to the local culture. And certainly, as we have said several times during this conversation, we believe that the program is a challenge. We believe that study abroad is a challenge. We believe that language place is a challenge, but it has to be understood as a process. and as an individual process in which each student will have his or her own pace to, again, to attain that comfort zone and that confidence that I think is the most efficient platform to get to this cultural immersion. I think I've said too much. We're going, as I repeat, we're going to place this conversation that is being recorded in our links. So thank you, Lyria. Thank you, Alessandra.
Thank you.
And we remain available for any of our partners to continue working on this valuable initiative. We're very fond of it. Muchas gracias. Chao.
Ciao.